Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Historical Markers. Today we are going into Oregon County, Missouri, and I'm sure there's a lot here for us to look at. We're in the Mark Twain National Forest area, beautiful views, and so we are going to see what kind of history they have waiting here. So we will catch you at the end. All right guys, we are in Alton, Missouri. And this is the county sign for Oregon County. We are on the grounds of the Oregon County Courthouse here. And this says, here in the extreme southern Missouri Ozarks, Oregon County was organized in 1845 and named for the Oregon Territory of the Far West. One of 11 counties along the Arkansas border, Oregon is in a region long roamed by various Indian tribes and claimed by the Osage until 1808. Charles Hatcher was the first settler, probably in 1809. Early pioneers were largely from Kentucky and Tennessee, with a few from the east. The first county seat, Thomasville, was laid out on 11 Point River in 1845 on a site given by John and Matilda Thomas. In 1859, the county seat was moved by law to a more central location, and Alton, a new town, was founded. In the Civil War, Union troops burned the courthouse there in 1863. Through the war, the county, largely pro-Southern, suffered a guerrilla raids and troop movement. A post-war outlaw band was routed by the county militia in 1868. Thayer, the largest town in the county, was founded as Railway Division Point, 1881, on the newly built St. Louis, Fort Scott, and Memphis Frisco Railroad. Early stations were Koskonong, St. Elmo, and American. Noted for its splendid scenery, Oregon is a lumbering and livestock farming county. In an arc through the county runs lovely spring-fed 11 Point River. Hundreds of prehistoric Indian mounds were found along this river and its tributaries. In northeastern Oregon and in adjoining counties lies the historic Irish wilderness, where in 1858 Father John Hogan founded a Catholic colony. By 1859, 40 families, many of them Irish, settled the area. A colony chapel was built southeast of Wilderness Village in Oregon County near the Ripley County line. Civil War activities ended the colony venture, and the area is now part of Clark National Forest, founded in the 1930s. Near Koskonong, Koskonong, I guess, is famed Grand Gulf, an extensive chasm made by a collapsed cave. The county's large, beautiful springs, Blue, Bose, Turner, Falling, Thomason, and Greer, were all pioneer mill sites. At Greer, third largest spring in the Ozarks, power was sent by cable to the mill on the hilltop from a turbine at the spring in the valley. The second largest spring in the Ozarks, Mammoth, is south of Thayer in Arkansas. We are in Alton, Missouri, on the grounds of the Oregon County Courthouse, and this is a Veterans Memorial dedicated to all Oregon County veterans in honor and memory of our men and women in our armed forces who rendered service to our country during wartime, peacetime, at home and overseas. We must never forget those who gave their lives for this nation under God. November 11th, 1997. And then it's got all of the branches there, and they have been designated as a Purple Heart County. All right, this is on the grounds of the Oregon County Courthouse here in Alton. I'm going to get up there a little closer. This is talking about the mills of Oregon County, and put up here by Friends of the 11 Point, and it follows the 11 Point River. Here's where we are, here in Alton. So there's the springs all up through there, going down. It says a step back in time. Appearing peaceful and undisturbed today, Greer Spring has a long, colorful history leading up to its purchase in 1993 by the U.S. Forest Service. Thomas Simpson first settled the spring area in 1854 and was followed by Samuel Greer, who's in that picture on the right, in 1859. Greer built the first mill on the spring branch in 1860, and that's the picture there. During the Civil War, well, I guess maybe it's this spring down here in this picture I was talking about. Okay, sorry to go up and down on you. During the Civil War, Greer served as a captain in the Confederate Army, and as a captain in the Confederate Army, and returned to find his mill destroyed by bushwhackers. Determined to succeed, Captain Greer rebuilt the mill and dam and resumed operations, grinding corn, ginning cotton, and sawing timber. This mill was removed in 1883 to make room for a larger dam, turbine, and roller mill. Built high on the ridge near the trail, which is now Highway 19, the Greer roller mill was powered by cables running up from the spring branch. Completed in 1899, the mill was sold to George Mainprice, who operated it successfully for 10 years before selling in turn. In 1904, Greer sold his land, including the spring, to Lewis Houck. Several owners ran the mill until it was closed in 1920, when cheaper sources of power and flour became common. Finally, in 1922, the mill was purchased by Louis E. Dinnick, who had acquired the 7,000 acres surrounding the spring. 3 generations of the Dinnick family protected the spring up to the time of the Forest Service purchase. Good stewardship has returned the Greer Spring area to near native appearance. And this down here, this one is peaceful and powerful. Just below a cave outlet is the gentle rolling boil of Greer Spring. The waters are clear, deep, and always 55 degrees. The tumbling spring branch appears serene and undisturbed today, but you can feel the power in the roar of the water as it falls 70 feet over the mile run to the 11-Point River. 220 million gallons per day, weighing over 1 billion pounds, have carved this deep valley over thousands of years. This powerful spring was first harnessed in 1860 by Samuel Greer, who built a water-driven mill near this spot. Destroyed by bushwhackers, the mill was rebuilt with a dam to store the water's energy. Long before electricity or combustion engines were available, these water wheels powered mill machines to grind corn, gin cotton, and saw the large native logs into lumber. In 1899, a larger roller mill was completed 1/4 mile up the ridge from the spring. Using a unique system of cables carried by large wheels below in this picture, power was transferred from a turbine in the dam up to the heavy mill machines. This mill was operated until 1920 and stands quiet today on private property. And there's one of the mill stones there. All right, we are in Grand Gulf State Park in Oregon County, and we are here for several markers. I'm just going to I've got a trail and several things here, so we're going to look at this marker first. Grand Gulf has been designated a national natural landmark. This site possesses exceptional value as an illustration of the nation's natural heritage and contributes to a better understanding of man's environment. It was put up in 1971 by the National Park Service. All right, here at Grand Gulf State Park again. It says all water that enters Grand Gulf leaves through this tunnel at the bottom of the sink. And this is the full to empty on the Grand Gulf sink. This large chasm called the sink marks the point where the roof of the cave system stopped collapsing. On a day when the Grand Gulf is empty, you can see the bottom of the sink and a cave opening, which is that picture right there. The cave is the opening to a tunnel and functions like the drain in your kitchen sink. When you fill up your kitchen sink, all the water leaves the sink through the drain or hole in the bottom. Similarly, all water that fills up Grand Gulf leaves the Gulf through this hole in the bottom of the sink. After draining from the sink, the water travels 9 miles underground and resurfaces at Mammoth Spring in Arkansas. After persistent heavy rain, the Gulf can rapidly fill to 130 feet of water in a matter of hours, putting the platform that we're standing on underwater, and it can take days or weeks to empty. How do we know that the water from the sink comes out at Mammoth Spring? Scientists use dye trace tests to determine how water flows through cave systems. Dye trace tests involve placing a fluorescent dye into the water and placing charcoal-filled packets to capture the dye where water resurfaces. Scientists collect the packets and test for captured dye. In 1968, a student from West Plains High School performed the first dye trace test here as a science fair project and recovered the dye at Mammoth Spring. In 2013, the Department of Natural Resources Division of Missouri Geological Survey performed a detailed dye trace test that confirmed the 1968 finding. Bet that kid was pretty proud. All right, so it's not empty. I'm sorry. I was looking up had you looking up at the sky. It's not empty. So we can't see the cave, but it would be, yeah, it's under us, I know. It's really interesting. So, yeah. So, this is the Grand Gulf State Park sink. All right, still down here at Grand Gulf State Park. There's trails along to several places. Down through here, there's markers along the trails. We're just going to get a couple here. This one is, why do we call this Grand Junction? The story of Grand Junction starts with the watershed. A watershed is an area of land that drains or sheds water into a specific body of water. Watersheds drain rainfall and snowmelt into streams and rivers. So here's where we are at Grand Gulf State Park. So the water that comes into Grand Gulf comes from two different watersheds. The Bustle Branch watershed, which is this yellow area on the map, and it sheds its rainwater into Bustle Branch. This watershed covers approximately 22 square miles of land. The Shiloh Church watershed, which is this blue area on the map, sheds its rainwater into Shiloh Church Branch. This watershed covers approximately 1.5 square miles of land. These two streams come together at a junction in Grand Gulf, hence the name Grand Junction, which you can see here. The two streams coming together there. As you stand on the platform looking forward, you can see two narrow valleys separated by a small ridge. Whether full of water or empty, the ridge and valleys are easily recognizable. Straight ahead is the Bustle Branch arm of Grand Gulf, which is the yellow arm in there, and I'm going to turn around and show you here in a minute. And to the left, entering diagonally, is the Shiloh Church arm of Grand Gulf, which is this blue area. A narrow ridge separates the two streams. This is the ridge. This dashed mark is the ridge. The red star marks the Grand Junction where both streams meet. And with the foliage out, I think it's hard to see that over there on the left is another branch. I'm going to go down here to this, see if I can walk down here to this other marker. Yeah, see, now you can see the two separate streams, the one on the left and the one on the right, and then the ridge is right up through the middle. That's pretty cool. All right. Oh, there's a natural bridge here. Look at that. The Grand Gulf Natural Bridge is a thick and wide bridge nearly the length of a football field. You're currently standing on part of this natural bridge. Directly below you, 117 feet down, is the entrance to a tunnel. Picture below, which is all that remains of the old cave passage. Water goes into this tunnel, disappears underneath you, travels 290 feet, and comes out behind you at the sink. This 290-foot-long tunnel is 75 feet high at the entrance and narrows down to only 11 feet where it opens out into the sink. So here's the diagram. We're standing right here, and so the water is going through there, and that's the natural bridge there. So we're parked up here. So during the rock formation process, many cracks form in the rock. Where there are more cracks, greater erosion occurs. Where there are fewer cracks, the rock is stronger. Eventually, the weaker, more highly eroded rock collapses into the bottom of the caves and tunnels. The sections of the ceilings made of more resistant rock do not collapse and instead create natural bridges, which is here pictured in this diagram here. Sometimes natural bridges are narrow and very easy to see. Other natural bridges can be thick, wide, and not as easily recognizable. So at this point we can't see, but apparently this water is going under us, and we're going to go over to where the sinks are. Next.
At the entrance to the park is this plaque in recognition for lifelong support of Grand Gulf State Park, and this flagpole is dedicated to Dorothy Woolford Ellis. It was placed May 2001. And there's the flag at the top of the pole.
All right, we are in Koskonong, Missouri, and they have a site here that's that little bitty building over there at a jail, but there's some things that says Koskonong's Folk Tales. This is pretty cool. Rumors are that Porter Wagner, when he was a young man, had been held overnight in the jail, but no verifiable information is available. I remember once a prisoner tried to sue the city when we put him in the new jail. He said it wasn't fit for nobody. Quote by Andy Bowles, excerpt from Koskonong, The History of the Heritage. And I'm sure somebody's going to correct me on my pronunciation. I apologize ahead of time. Let's see. This folktale was submitted in 2021 by Jack Parker. Said the last person to be locked in the jail. In the late 1940s, my brother Tom Parker and I, Jack Parker, were growing up in Kosh. Oh, I'm glad they shortened it. The town marshal had a turnip patch north of the jail. We thought it would be cool to have a raw turnip. So we stepped through the trees and vines, got a couple turnips, and climbed atop the jail to eat them. Getting cold, we entered the jail cell. When leaving, I thought it would be fun to slip the latch through the hasp. I accidentally locked Tom inside the jail. He was soon yelling to get out, and I could not unlock it. I was scared, but finally went to the marshal's house to tell him what happened. He came to let Tom out and asked what we were doing atop the jail. We said cracking walnuts. After that, I stayed away from Tom for a few days. Oh, goodness. All right. This one says Pearl Bowles and Irvin Stanley began efforts to have the unused jail declared a historical marker. It had been locked for 25 years at that time due to the key being lost. There's another one up there by the truck. I'm going to get over here to the jail itself first. I tell you what, I wouldn't want to be locked in there. I've spent 25 years of my life working in a jail or a prison, and I'm glad I didn't have this one to work in. Residents recall 2 prisoners setting fire to the bed and mattress that was held in the jail in protest to being arrested. By the time they were discovered, they had nearly suffocated themselves to death. I can believe it. Yeah, I don't think I would like to be held in here. Probably be cool down in there in the summertime, though. All right, this one says, articles state that the jail was built by Newton Arnold, Irvin Stanley, and Earl Bowles. Others recall it being constructed by George Bearden and Mac Whiteside. So, I wonder if there was any other building around it, or if it's just right here, beside the road. All right, I'm gonna go up here. I think there was another sign that I missed. I've not even got a picnic table here. I mean, guy was mowing it when we got here. He's gone to get the weed eater. So I'm glad that I got in here while he was, after he'd finished running the lawnmower. Okay. Says, though some recall that a jail already existed on the old Hatfield property, reports are that until the time of this construction, prisoners were kept in the livery stable. All right. Here we are in Kosh at the old jail. That was Oregon County, Missouri. I'm getting attacked by bugs. These flying bugs are attacking me. I'm sorry. I hope that you enjoyed that as much as I did. And we'll catch up with you in the next episode of Historical Markers.